Hi, everyone. It's Carrie Donegan, and welcome to Radical Age Reversal. Welcome to our Win-Win Women Network family, as well as our YouTube family. It's so good to have you watching with us, whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay. We're just so happy that you are here. Today's topic, I think, is one that you're really going to want to sink your teeth into, because I often think that when we consider aging, it really doesn't become an important factor until we see the signs of aging. Maybe one day you woke up and you said, wow, I never had knee pain or shoulder pain or hip pain. Or when you put your feet on the floor, you found that your joints were a little bit stiff, or your neck or your back was stiff. You started to see gray hair perhaps, or even a few wrinkles. Things weren't as easy to do as they used to be. Maybe you were slowing down. Perhaps you used to be one of these wonderful people that could eat massive amounts of food and really enjoyed all your sweets. And now even the smell of a bakery puts weight on your hips. All of these things seem to lead us into that question of, I think I'm getting older, and why am I aging, and how do I slow this down? And that's why there's this huge industry available to people, not only for weight loss, but for longevity and for kind of reversing aging. But what if we were to do young people a favor by sharing with them some of the things that we're learning to do as adults to slow down the aging process? And we had them incorporate those very methods, tools, tips, tricks right at the beginning of their life. And as parents, one of the things that we can do is actually create really great habits for our kids, especially kids that live in our house that we have sort of under our control, that go by our schedule. You can really do so much to help them create good habits and great routines. Now, you may be listening to this like I am, a mother of grown children, and you're saying to yourself, well, what good is that for me? My kids are already out of the house, or they're teenagers and they don't listen to me anymore. What can I do? Well, first and foremost, I think teenagers, and especially young adults, really appreciate strong information that is backed in science. We're living in an age where people are really wanting to see data behind some of the new behaviors that they're looking at and potentially thinking about adopting. Most people don't dive into something blindly anymore. We're a very well-educated society, and so are your kids. So speak to your kids as if they were and are the intelligent human beings that they are, and give them the data and give them really solid examples of why these lifestyle changes are going to benefit them. And I think through your own example and through the data, you will see that young people, even if they kind of push back and don't want to listen to you, they do see the value in information that has some strong evidence behind it. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that we all should be doing, but that you can also get your young people on board on. And I'm going to divide today's talk into three sections. We're going to talk a little bit about your gut and your microbiome and why those are connected and what's really important with them. We're going to talk about how that system deals with your immune system and what your immune system has to do with longevity. And we're going to talk about your emotions, your stress level, and how you manage that, and how all three of these topics are actually very interrelated. And this equation actually equals a really good, long, healthy life. So if we can get some of these things in order, again, we're talking about immunity, we're talking about our gut microbiome, we're talking about the gut-brain connection, and we're talking about how we manage stress. And if we can actually see this as a big picture and start to look at our kids, right, as young as you possibly can, with this in mind, you will see that you can put them on a new path if they're on one that might not be serving them, or you can reinforce some really good habits if they've already adopted some of these. So let's get started. First and foremost, I really want all of us to take a look at our cabinets and remove things that we have in our cabinets that are highly, highly processed. Okay. So, what does that really mean? It means that for whatever foods we're eating, how many steps did it take for it to get transformed into the shape that it's currently in? So, for example, if I decide to eat an apple, not processed at all. It was taken off of a tree. Now, I do want to consider how the apple was grown. Was it sprayed with a pesticide? Has it been genetically modified in any way? Those things we want to stay away from as much as possible because we know that those actually become age promoting and disease promoting factors. They're factors, right? So we want to make sure that we are always setting ourselves up for success, and that's going to be something that you want to stay away from. But let's look at something like a jar of applesauce. You could have a natural organic jar of applesauce that really is cooked apples put in a jar, no sugar, no preservatives, no chemicals, no colors, no sweeteners, no fillers. And that's a pretty good food. It is processed, but it's not necessarily bad for your kids. But then you can look at an applesauce on a shelf that actually is full of chemicals, and that's something you want to stay away from. Now, why is that? We're going to go into our gut microbiome. Now, remember, the gut microbiome, especially that special part of your digestive tract that's called the cecum, holds trillions of really important bacteria that communicate with our brain and communicate with the hormones that are produced in our body, especially things like dopamine that make us happy, serotonin that make us feel confident. So if you see a lot of young people that are having a hard time focusing, that they don't have a lot of confidence, maybe they're not very happy, it could be because some of the foods that they're eating are destroying this very critical area of their health, the gut microbiome. So easy solution is just to read your labels and start to remove those things. Now, we also want to feed the gut microbiome, and I want to talk a little about how you can use essential oils to do that. So first and foremost, I'm going to talk about an essential oil blend from doTERRA that's called On Guard. And the reason this is such an important essential oil blend is that the blend itself has documentation that go back hundreds, if not thousands of years. The ingredients in the On Guard blend are cinnamon, eucalyptus, rosemary, orange, and clove. So one more time, it's orange, clove, cinnamon, eucalyptus, and rosemary. And these have been used for really thousands and thousands of years in many, many cultures. And why are they so effective and what do they do? Well, first you want to talk about how to use it. The On Guard blend, I find, especially with kids, the easiest thing to do is just put it on the bottom of their feet. So what I do is I just take these 3 fingers. This is kind of my method. And I just take a few drops and then I would just put it on the bottom of their feet. Now, sometimes I use this as a great time to connect with my kids, and I would just have them sit on a bench or at the end of their bed together. And I would give them a little foot massage with On Guard right before they went to sleep. And the reason this was so wonderful was it was kind of a downtime, a time where conversation was easily had or any distractions. They weren't on games and phones and homework and iPads and all that kind of stuff. They were just sitting on their bed, having their mom rub their feet or having their dad rub their feet. And what's so great about that is it opens up communication. Kids love to talk about things that make them feel good, and essential oils make them feel really good. So hopefully that would also create a line of communication between you and your child. Now, if you can fit it into your day, it's also great to do this first thing in the morning. And even if you're not a kid, you can put On Guard on your feet. Now, I think of some of the oils in this and I love the ingredients. So for example, cinnamon and clove are highly antibacterial, but the bad bacteria, antibacterial, not the good bacteria, antibacterial. So when you, for example, take a drop of On Guard, and I wouldn't do this with a kid because clove and cinnamon in their natural and most potent, purest form, an essential oil can be really, really strong and a little overwhelming to kids for sure, and even some adults. So you want to make sure that you kind of test this before you get into the habit of taking a drop either under your tongue or on your tongue. And the way I would do that is just to take a drop and put it on my fingertip. And you may want to have like a piece of bread nearby, just if this is the first time you've ever done this, or maybe a tablespoon of yogurt. Another cooling idea could be even a little bit of applesauce, something like that, or an apple, right? So just in case the clove oil is too strong for you. But I really love this. I actually use this to brush my teeth. And then you can just, for the first time, touch it to the tip of your tongue. You're going to feel a tingling sensation. You're going to feel your sinuses open up. It's going to kind of wake up your whole mouth. And like I said, if it's too overpowering for you, usually the easiest thing to do is either take a piece of bread, or you could actually take a teaspoon of coconut oil. That would take care of it easily. Any fatty oil is going to actually create a gentle, easy feeling with an essential oil. So if you want to take On Guard, but it's too spicy for you, you could actually put a drop in, maybe a teaspoon of olive oil, or if you take fish oil, you could put it in your fish oil. It's not going to harm the fish oil at all, and it's probably going to make it taste much, much better. So you can use this internally without a problem whatsoever. The third way that's really good to use On Guard is actually just to put it in your hands or in a diffuser, and then you can rub your hands together and just breathe it from the palms of your hands. Now, because I said earlier, this has got some spicy oil. These oils that are super spicy are also going to be the ones that are good for your gut. They're good for killing germs. They're good for boosting your immune system. And this is why we're using it every day. Our immune system needs a little help. Once it gets help, it can actually do an amazing job of keeping us from getting sick. But you know, kids, they go into school, they're with people in different environments. They're going to be exposed to germs they've never been exposed to before. And it may just put their immune system into a bit of extra work that it's not ready to perform. And then you add a bad diet on top of that, and you really have put your child in a losing position. So we want to switch that around, and we want to give them more tools to make it easier for them to actually promote a healthier, easier way to stay in the world, to be in school, to interact with their friends, and to not get sick. And as parents, we don't really want to worry about our kids and whether they're sick or not. So On Guard is the ticket. And what I love about On Guard is it comes in so many different forms. So another form that you may want to consider is the On Guard foaming hand soap. And I use this a few ways. Of course, I love to use this in a bathroom, by a sink, in a kitchen. This is a great soap for kids to wash their hands with because it's not chemically laden, but it is extremely effective because of the On Guard blend that's in here. Remember, clove, wild orange, rosemary, cinnamon, and did I miss one? I feel like eucalyptus. So what's so great about that? It's going to kill any bad bacteria that's on the surface of your hands, or you can actually use this to clean surfaces too, although there is an On Guard cleaner that I would highly recommend. But I also, for my teenagers, I like to put this in the shower. And the reason is that it's great for acne. It's mild enough that you can wash your face with it. It will tingle a bit, but it dries out the skin without over drying it. So you're going to get rid of some of that excess oil. You're also going to kill the surface bacteria that's causing the mild infection we know as acne. You can use this even on the back. You can use this for sweat pimples. You can actually use this to wash your feet and in between your toes. For your kids that are athletes, this is going to get rid of athlete's foot. Anytime you want to just clean and disinfect without harsh chemicals, this should be your go-to. And you can buy this in a 2-pack, so it's safe and easy on the environment. And they have a beautiful hand pump soap, very modern, very sleek, very cool. So you can buy that as well and then just refill it. Now, we know post-COVID, we've seen that people are adopting this practice of using hand sanitizers on a regular basis. And the thing that concerns me about that is that we're learning that those hand sanitizers that are so strong and so chemically forward, they're killing off the good bacteria in our microbiome. And that's bad because we need that to stay young. We need that to stay out of disease. We need that to keep our hormones running properly. And so why don't you switch to the On Guard line version of the hand sanitizer? I like the fact that it's pretty tiny, right? You could throw this in like one of those keychain pouches and put it on a backpack. You can throw this in a purse. You can leave this in your car. It is a gel, just like the commercial versions of hand sanitizer. But what's really nice about this one is it doesn't leave your hands feeling sticky. Don't you hate that when you get that really gross, sticky feeling on your hands? I love this because it's just clean. And it will get, this is what I say to people all the time. This is a stopgap measure. This was intended, and all of these are intended just to get you from where you, from where you are to a bathroom sink so you can wash your hands. It's always important that you rinse off whatever it is that's on your hand that you're trying to get rid of, whether it's a chemical or it's bacteria or it's just dirt. You need to rinse it off with water. So this should never replace hand washing in a sink. This is just to get you from point A to the sink. Another thing that I like about the On Guard line is this. This is the On Guard roll-on. And my favorite way to use this, and what my kids love, is I use this as what I call a training oil. So what's nice about essential oils from doTERRA is that a lot of them that are found in bottles are also in roll-ons. And what you can do with your kids is not give them the bottles, but give them the roll-ons. And the reason is that, number one, they're already diluted, so they're not going to be as strong, either smelling or strong feeling on the skin. They also have this metal roll-on, and this is going to make it easy for them to apply. So I like this On Guard roll-on when I have a sore throat, or my throat is tired, or I'm just trying to sometimes relax too, just kind of relax my throat muscles. It's nice and it smells great. It's part of that cleaning line. I also like to use this as a deodorant. So this can be like a training deodorant for your kids. Again, it has a roll-on. You can put their name on it if you don't want them to share it between siblings. But honestly, it is highly antimicrobial. But I get it. It's gross. You know, use your own personal care products. So the same thing, you can roll this underneath. And because it has fractionated coconut oil, which is also really, really good as a deodorant, it has the On Guard blend in here of rosemary, eucalyptus, wild orange, cinnamon, and clove. So that is great. And if you give this to your kids, they're going to learn how to use their essential oils. They're going to learn how to apply their essential oils. And then when they're old enough to handle the ones that are not diluted in the 15 ml bottle, they'll be ready to go. All right, there's also a capsule, which I don't have to show you, but it's a few drops of the On Guard essential oil blend. It's put in a capsule and you can take that internally. And that really does a great job of keeping your system healthy, but also recovery. So if you start to feel those telltale signs of getting sick, maybe for you, it's a scratchy throat, or you're feeling tired, or you have a headache, or maybe you get an upset stomach, maybe you break out in hives, or you have something like that. There's usually some part of the immune system that starts to break down and it tells you, oh, I'm getting sick and I don't want to get sick. So that's usually when I break out the roll-on and I break out the soft gels. So I will transition now into another soft gel so I can show you what it looks like. But this soft gel is particularly for stress. Now, if you want to keep your immune system strong, you also have to deal with too much stress. A little bit of stress is good, but too much stress is never a good thing. And so, one of the practices that I think is great for kids and for adults is to have a daily de-stress routine before you go to bed. Because if you don't get rid of the stress, you will take the stress with you into your sleep, which means that you may have interrupted sleep. You may have too light a sleep. You don't get into that deep REM sleep. Or maybe you just can't sleep at all. So you have to get into a really good routine because sleep is just as important, if not more important, than exercise and nutrition. So 30 minutes before I go to bed, I take one of these. It's called an adaptive capsule. And if I were to get sick, I would also take an On Guard capsule. So that's something that you can do. And the capsules are super easy to swallow. If you have a kid that's a little bit younger and you don't think that they can swallow a capsule, don't worry about it. I do know people that have opened the capsules, but I don't think that's necessary. What I would do, again, when you're training your kids to use essential oils, roll-ons are the way to go. This is the best thing. So get out the adaptive roll-on and teach them how to put it here. And what I like is you can make a little smell patch underneath your nose, and then your kids can smell the oil under their nose. You can also take this and they can draw on their favorite stuffed animal, and that will make their stuffed animal smell really good and make it easy for them to go to sleep. Sometimes I like to draw on the back of my hand. That's another great thing because we tend to wipe the palms of our hands more than the backs of our hands. So that's an easy way. Another way that I like to apply essential oils is actually on the forearm. So just do this. Okay, or you can just roll it on both arms. And again, it's great because it's close to where your vascular system is and it's going to get absorbed into your body more quickly. And the purpose of the adaptive line is just to help us adapt to stressful situations. So we can't stop stress from entering into our life. We can't stop challenges from entering into our life. But what we can do is learn to manage them better. And if you teach your kids to use adaptive and On Guard, what you're going to get is kids with strong immune systems and also strong emotional resilience. All right. There's two more oils I wanted to talk about today before we close, and that is Thinker, which is a great essential oil for your kids to use. And this is going to help them to focus. So sometimes your mind wanders. They call it monkey mind. Sometimes you can't keep your thoughts together. Sometimes it's hard to memorize things. So what you want to do is use Thinker because the essential oils in Thinker are particularly good. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but I actually put 3 oils on, one on top of the other. So don't be afraid to layer. That's what they call it, layering essential oils. Or using multiple essential oils multiple times a day. That's what they're there for. Just imagine when we used to live outside and the essential oils, which still do, right, freely roam through the atmosphere from tree to tree, from plant to plant, from root to root, and we would have access to that. That's all we're doing by taking it in a bottle because our world has become so industrialized and so sealed, right? We live inside, we live in climate control, we live in places with filters, right? Everything has been filtered out, and that can be a good thing, but you're also filtering out the natural plant oils that are there to actually support your health and your longevity. So bringing them back into your environment by using essential oils is amazing. And again, teaching your kids to do this is a great way for them to learn how to promote a good lifespan and a good health span. So again, now we have 3 different roll-ons for our kids: Thinker, On Guard, and adaptive. And if you're watching this, I have a special offer for anyone who contacts me. All you have to do is comment in the YouTube comment section when you're watching this presentation and reach out to me, and I will contact you and get you information about how to get all these products, actually 20% off through the 25th of August. So it's sort of a back to school special. I think you're going to really love these products. And if you want one more idea, my last essential oil blend that I'd like to talk about is called Motivate. Motivate is amazing because it is really good for your brain. So you can take a couple of drops and put it right here under your nose. You can take a couple of drops and put it right behind your ears. And this also comes in a roll-on, by the way. I don't have mine because my daughter took it to school. I got to order another one. And then you can take them and actually put it on the back of your neck. And it's really good for these trapezius muscles that get super tight. Or do you ever get really tight here and those shoulder muscles? This is going to help loosen that up. So you can also give your kids a little neck massage at night. It's another way to open up an opportunity for a great conversation. Well, thanks so much for joining me today on Radical Age Reversal. I hope we've given you some cool tips that you can use with your kids so that they age more gracefully, with more health, and with greater resilience to deal with the stresses of the world. I'm Carrie Donegan. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.